right here, they kind of follow this symmetry, but at the same time it's kind of this chaos that kind of follows the branches.
Yep.
And then
so it feels like it grows out of the ground, right?
And when we had the overhang, we also had to add support. So we added the support, and at the same time we added the aesthetic decorations that kind of added to that whole. We gave it another dimension in addition to this two-dimensional area right here. We had a third dimension right there. And they gave it more of an intertwining branches kind of feel.
But it also structurally supported the roof, right?
It has two purposes.
Right.
One thing we really wanted feedback on was we were trying to think of a way to kind of be inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright, and one of our members who's not here right now, he's just arriving. Frank Lloyd Wright didn't like corners, so we tried to kind of avoid this one big corner right here and try to put two things right here. And also he kind of liked it when things feel like they're floating, so that's why we kept this whole thing right here, like that. So this will all be covered by that screen, that full mesh, to try to keep the bugs away.
So what's the other reason for the overhang? Tell them how you, it's really important to tell them how you got to where the roof goes.
So we made the sketches on the ground, trying to see which would be the furthest distance of where the roof would be. We try to make it as far away so that way the rain doesn't get to it. And also we try to make it so that way that it's the right distance, so that way when the sun is setting, when it's still really like hard light, it's not in your face, but then when it's setting, it's softer and you can see it from there. And right now is like the perfect time to notice that.
Yep. No, perfect. So one of the things it sounds like you're trying to resolve is how that roof overhang works. Is that?
I think it's if it works, or if it, regardless of whether they're 2 points or 1 point.
Right.
With the overhang, I think the question is it trying too hard?
Yeah. Well, what I see that I really like is the area in the back that is intertwined in a very, I guess it's on one hand a little bit haphazard, but on the other hand, when you start looking closely, it feels like every piece of wood is somehow intentional. It's there for a real purpose, a structural purpose. And I think that the parts that may be a little bit harder to figure out are this overhang, because it's almost like you're trying too hard to frame it in. And I guess the question that I would ask is, what are you going to do for the roof? Is that going to be a solid roof, or is it going to be a transparent roof? Are you going to, right now you have the cardboard on there. What happens when you take the cardboard off? You want to try that? Sorry?
There's more light.
There's more light, okay.
So you can take it off for us.
You want to take it off for us? Just as he was getting relaxed, right?
It's actually a good thing because it gives the person inside a shade from where they're sitting.
Okay. So now,
Mike is just blinded. Just incapacitated.
I got about 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, you look really good there.
Very tasty.
Nice, yeah. So, the other thing that for me doesn't quite work are the more vertical pieces, like the ones on either side of the door.
Yeah, the ones that are going like...
Yeah. And so what I'm sensing is that you have this conflict in a way between the intertwining woven pieces of wood
so basically
and
it
these
looks
vertical.
Disorganized.
Sorry?
Disorganized? Or like
well, I
it's not
like the
working?
disorganized, but I think the organization maybe it has to be really super strong, like the ground, in order to work.
Okay.
And so what I guess you would almost need is a contrast between the organized and the disorganized. Okay. So you might think of those as two completely different elements that might even be made out of materials that are different. Like the organized, the hard rectangular elements are made out of 2x4s, 2x6s, that sort of thing, something strong and solid, and the disorganized ones are maybe made out of the 1x2s. And that, and the way even that they're connected might be an important thing, because the 1x2s are connected with the straps, and the 2x4s and 2x6s are connected with screws. So that might be something to think about. I'm also curious if you even need the vertical supports on the right side there. what happens if you were to take them off?
Show
Would
us
the
where.
whole thing totally
You
get
mean the
destroyed?
doorways?
Yeah, those ones. Yeah, yeah. Would it destroy the whole thing or not?
I really don't know.
You don't know? Well,
We
there's one
haven't
way of
tried it,
finding out,
yeah.
isn't there?
Like taking it off. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Floyd's coming. He's good too.
Well, I mean, one thought, you know, they're
What materials were you going to use for the roofing?
you know, honestly, like, so I think the middle pieces in the back there, you know, those will be sawed, right? So you'd cut the middle pieces that are poking up, so the roof would run
Okay.
straight through all the way to
Okay.
the back.
Okay.
And in that case, probably the easiest thing to do, honestly, I mean, it's not the prettiest solution, but it could be it could just be, honestly, a tarp.
What if you were to thicken the 1x2s? Like just put a bunch of 1x2s there in that same woven way.
On the roof?
Yeah, on the roof. Just to provide shade, not necessarily to provide water protection, but at least to provide shade.
Sure.
That could work, right?
Sure. And then put a tarp on top of that?
Yeah, or do you need a tarp?
How much shade does it provide?
Yeah, it depends on how thick it is and how much shade. Another thing I think would be nice is to trim a little bit of the tree branches so that you don't get, so that they frame the object as opposed to intertwine with it.
Yep.
And I have pruning, little pruners if you want to use those. Floyd, what do you think? Your idea, I think, was the best, which was to expand the structure into the back. And I don't know if you saw how that happened. There's this interesting double layer that happens now.
I think that's looking pretty cool.
And that's the roof.
And
That
the roof
carries
can
the
go.
roof.
Yeah, that carries it back that way.
Yeah.
And balances it out there.
So you could do a tarp. I mean, that would be adding another element. I guess I would be curious to know what issues you start running into when you put the screen in. The screen.
Well, the other, we are talking just loosely that maybe, I mean, what if you actually, you literally just did a mosquito net, a pull up and down mosquito net, and you put a metal strip around the bottom and put magnets on the bottom of it, and you can hoist it up, you can hoist it down. I mean, you could make a beautiful box. I feel like if you stuck with this edge right here, then maybe it's more about a beautiful. It's about that hard edge, and then you do use screen, but maybe it's billowy otherwise. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, it gets into a use issue, right? Of do people really want to go up and like hold it up and down and climb in it? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know.
One thing about screen is that I think it might provide a great counterbalance to everything else going on there. I worry that with the amorphousness of the 1x2s that the billowy might just make it too amorphous. What do you guys think?
The only thing the billowy does allow is it actually allows you to get, it doesn't have to be a completely orthogonal interior. Like that structure in the back could start flowing the other way too.
Yeah.
Which could potentially allow you to take away some more of the corner pieces, right? Yeah.
One thing I'd be curious to know is if you could even bring some of the 1x2s out further into where we are, like over to even crazier overhang. Yeah. And that relates to your initial comments or questions to me was, what do we do with that overhang area? See how far out you can make it. I mean, does it allow you to cantilever another 6 feet beyond what you have right now? How strong is it?
What do you mean coming
in this direction, yeah.
That's something we were talking about, but then talked about it. And another thing we did was they took it up though, but like we used just the 2x1s to attach to a corner and then just attach back over there, right towards closer to over there, so that way it doesn't obstruct the view or anything. But at the same time, it kind of helps support a little, and they were skeptical on the whole idea, so we kind of dropped it.
Ah, but you were right.
Who talked to you about throwing tall people under the bus?
Oh yeah.
I heard all about that. This is from Carolyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Amanda.
does this say?
No, this is the constraints we have.
Okay.
Time, rain protection.
What is that?
But if I need to, should I talk to Carolina about this or you?
Questions
Or anything? Or?
Did you know?
So those we're just gonna use like screening the screen and with like some other type of material, and then like we were just gonna let it, like we were just gonna like hang it down, but then use magnets so that you can.
That's
open
great.
It and close.
That
So that way,
sounds
so that way it
wonderful.
doesn't like flap around or anything, and it's just
Yep.
you know it can be solid or and easy to move in and move out.
Do you have magnets? Because we
No.
might have some.
Yeah, we were talking about getting them too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
The only problem I see with that is like how, like screen is pretty delicate, like a magnet. I was wondering how that would
That's a good
affect
point.
it.
Yep.
That's really cool from this side.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It actually looks really good also when you get it.
Yeah.
I like the.
The Statue of Liberty.
Big pieces for the
So I think that's nice. What happens if you pull
Hey,
it
guys,
in a
come
little bit? Pull them in just like another foot or two?
Really nice, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like that. You know how
Yeah, that's good.
it's
Right there. Right there.
thicker and gets thinner as it goes
Yeah.
up.
And so then it, at a certain point,
That
it
was an
just
entire
trails
idea.
off.
Yeah.
It's based off of that.
Yeah.
Starting off really bulky and then thinning it out.
So I like it.
that,
I
yeah.
like it doing that. I still question where do we need a hard edge to play off of, or don't we?
You mean of the screen or?
Well, I'm just saying, where is there a hard edge to play off of?
Oh,
and is it
to
the screen
work on,
or
yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're right, you do get these
Yeah.
kind of. This is like a slightly weird moment where it loses that right there. So do we take this away? Do you just come in and right here and lift the screen up and?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, is that the door anymore, or do you come around? So is this the hard edge right now, this guy? Or this
Yeah.
one?
I think it's the one. Yeah, that one. The one you're touching.
So one thing to do would be to do another one like this, but in a couple inches all the way around, so that you don't mess around with this.
Right.
And have the
Screen comes
the screen coming in. And I'm curious if the screen can actually start having a structure because of how it's folded.
Huh.
We've got the metal. We got
So-
the whole roll of the metal stuff.
Do you want to play with that?
Like that exhibition. There was this exhibition
Right.
at the Brooklyn Museum that used a kind of white material, but everything is made out of fold. But it creates these like kind of billowy
Yeah.
sculptures.
Yeah.
Oh, like the folded paper.
Yeah, but it's cloth. It's really like well starched
Yeah.
cloth.
Was it something that Molo Design did? Do you remember?
No.
Okay.
I forget the name. Alex.
But the point is that by taking something that would ordinarily just fall on the ground and
Right.
folding it, you might get something cool.
Yep.
So this is a great example of when, in order to resolve a design issue, you have to get really familiar with the materials that you're using. And that's why I always have problems with architects or designers who say, oh, this is my grand design, but they have very little understanding of the materials involved, the physical properties of the materials. And now with this screen that we're going to play with, it'll be worthwhile to see what happens.
measure.
Maybe cut it so that it's you're planning on holding them vertically, right?
Yeah.
So someone get the other end of the.
Yeah, actually, Jason, just fold that edge towards me. Just bring the whole thing towards me. We're gonna fold it
Twice.
Give it a crease, and then you can cut it along it. Alright, make the mesh gap.
Are you enjoying the bugs?
Yeah, like, apparently